Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about the new movie, Megan 2. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That way no one ever decides to make an AI robot version of me. You better not even think about it. Gerard Johnson returns from the first film to direct the second, and I honestly had no idea what they were going to do with it, so I wanted to check it out. Instead of talking about the 6 things that make a movie great, I'm just going to share my spoiler-free thoughts on the film. So in short, the premise for this movie is basically that Megan is dead, but somehow the government is able to make a copy of what Megan was to militarize it and use it as a field agent. They name this field agent Amelia, who inexplicably goes rogue, and they lose track of it. It then starts targeting people who had anything to do with the Megan project, including Gemma. And so Gemma and co decide that they need to rebuild Megan in order to protect themselves and take out this new threat. So probably one of the biggest shifts that you see happen in this movie is from like a small town horror movie to a much more global action movie. So the vibe for the films are completely different. And I didn't think that was necessarily a good or a bad thing. I mean, the film was still kind of fun to watch, but it was good in different ways than the first one was, and it was worse in different ways than the first one was. And unfortunately, the way that it seemed that they wanted to bridge that gap between horror to action was exposition dumping. Because there are quite a few moments of heavy exposition dumping in this movie that are an absolute bore. While the first movie had most of its humor in the first half, this movie had it sprinkled throughout, especially some really funny and cheesy moments from Jermaine Clement. So that was at least fun. I gotta say too, some of the action sequences in this movie are entertaining. There's just something kind of funny and fun to watch this petite human AI bot that has become militarized and is now fighting military dudes, throwing them around. So I think those scenes were filmed pretty well. That being said, however, I think the CGI in this movie was horrible compared to the first movie. Sure, there were a couple moments that weren't that great, but in this movie, a lot of the CGI stood out like a sore thumb. And in that regard, it seemed like a decrease in quality from the first one. There also was a huge lack of character development in this movie. In the first movie, you get to see character development between Gemma and Katie, and even Megan and Katie. In this movie, there's absolutely none. The characters are just as is, and exposition dumps to tell you how the characters have changed in the last couple years since the first movie, but that's it. And then the movie does nothing with it. There's no development, there's no growth. It just is very surface value. And so there's not a whole lot of depth to the movie, which some people might not care about, but it was present in the first film, so it's notable. And the plot of this movie is very simple. It's not amazing, and the way that they seem to push it along is with exposition dumping. And near the end, it becomes pretty predictable and kind of just meh. And because of those things, when I look at the two movies compared to each other, two very different movies, about the same enjoyability while watching either one. Other than that, the basic stats for this movie is that it's rated PG-13. It has a moderate bit of profanity and a few moments of heavy action and violence, and it runs for about 2 hours. But with all those areas considered, I have to give Megan 2 a 6 out of 10. I really wish this movie would have grown from the first one and kept some of the things that worked and got rid of the things that didn't, but it seemed to just make a one-for-one swap on things and not have much growth from it. There were a few funny moments, there were a few cheesy moments, and the action scenes were entertaining, but this movie had a lot of flaws as well. So with all that in mind, I think Megan 2 was an entertaining watch, and it wasn't horrible to see in theaters, but I don't necessarily think it's worth spending $15 to $20 to go see. I'll leave that one up to you. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Megan 2, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.